Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and to provide some actual insight into this crazy fucking industry that we find ourselves in. It's Thursday today. It's actually the 99th episode. Tomorrow's a big 100 on the live show stream. And yeah, man, we're not stopping. No matter what happens, I'm showing up every single day, you guys. And the reason I'm able to show up every single day is because my friends over at VHub. You guys hit them up, vhubapp.com. Access to trailers. It doesn't matter if you're a carrier, a broker, or a shipper alike. We all need them, right? So for me, it's a seamless transaction now. Like as an owner op or a small fleet, you should never have to shut one of your trucks down because your trailer is in the shop. That's lost revenue and everything else. And with that being said, the best part about VHub, you guys, is they pay to do this. So right now with what they got brand new 2023 dry vans sitting out in Paragould, Arkansas, as well as over in Glade Spring, Virginia, going to Orting, Washington, which is just outside of Tacoma. And it pays $1,550 to do that, you guys. That's on top of the revenue you can put by loading out freight in the back of that trailer right now. It's a way to help you offset some of these rising fuel costs, as well as repair costs and everything else that comes along with this industry, you guys. And then they also have them down in West Palm Beach, Florida, looking to go up to Milton, Ontario, Messina, New York, and also just outside of Montreal, you guys. And again, it's $1,500 to do that. So you guys got to look into that. You know, it's another way to add revenue out there. And then furthermore, if you're a broker, you can create a drop trailer pool with some of this stuff and run some of this one-way power-only freight. Get creative. No matter what, we got to find solutions out here in the freight market, you guys. Hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friend Stacey Steen, she'll be in the audience, as well as my man Xavier Campos. And without further ado, I'm just going to bring my guest on right now, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Chris Brewer, River City Logistics. What's up, dude?
What's going on, Jolly? How are you, man? Thanks for having me on number 99. Let's kick this thing in a high gear for a triple-digit show tomorrow.
Dude, that's exactly it, dude. Again, it's like just like with everything, man. It's got to keep fucking showing up every single day. 9 times out of 10, like I choose the articles like the afternoon before. I always send them over late because, you know, like I am doing real work. I don't just talk shit into a mic all day long. I do have some stuff going on as well. But yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like I wanted to, one of the main, like I love having you on, and you're a fucking in the trenches guy. You're out there. I mean, we were just talking about what you got going on up in Washington, but I wanted to bring you back on like ASAP after that post you put out there last week. Cause that got me thinking, man, about it. Cause it's like, I actually caught myself. I had to check myself. I'm like, dude, that's a good point. I've pulled that stunt on people before. And you know, so like, what was it? What did you throw out there? Cause like, I could just feel that you're fucking fuming when you were running it.
I'm extremely furious. So obviously we run a multi-angle logistics company. We've got our fleet side. Obviously our brokerage is far larger, but we run a lot of customer direct freight on the fleet side. And so these reposition loads to get up into markets where I have contracted freight, they're kind of volatile, you know, like Phoenix to Eastern Washington, Phoenix to Seattle. I just kept getting canceled left and right. And then I see the load posted back up on the board for like $200 less than what I agreed to run it for. And it's just like, I'm not going to lie to you. If you've been in the game for as long as I have, of course you've unassigned a carrier and you've put somebody else on it for $100.
Yeah.
I'm now at the point in my career where I'll take the consistency and I'll take the better carrier, regardless of the money, because the one time you get screwed over and you lose that client, you're never going to make that mistake again. But I had 9 reposition loads cancel on me in a span of 3 days. And then they would go straight back to the board, you know, and it's Johnny on the spot, 23-year-old kid at a, 3-letter brokerage that thinks he knows more than me.
Yeah.
And it's just tell me the truth, man. You found a better rate. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating because we get belittled and beat up as carriers from brokers. And it's not so much the older folks, the people that have been in the game a long time, but it's the younger guys and gals that are fresh out of college. And I supply receipts, yet you still want to dock me with late fines. I'm like, these are legitimate breakdowns. The truck's at the dealer. It's under warranty. It's 8 months old. So that just really kind of got under my skin, because you and I are both, we're on this show. This is your career. We're here to bring transparency to the freight and logistics space as a whole. And I just think that was a really good talking point that got a lot of really good positive feedback and comments as well.
Dude, and it's so true though, because again, like I had to check myself in that moment. I'm like, fuck, dude, he's right. Like I've done that before. I've pulled that driver off to make that extra $100 on there. And same thing, man, about, oh, I need receipts if this truck actually fucking broke down. And I'd never been checked on when I canceled that load. Send me the email from your customer. You can block out the name if you want. Send me the email from the customer saying this load got canceled. I was like, it's one of those things though, man. Like, again, like I'm never going to put myself on a pedestal and say I've never done this shit before. But that was one of those posts where I was like, holy fuck, he's right. Like that needs to be a thing.
Yeah, I don't need to see the client's name. And quite frankly, I learned a lot too. It opened my eyes quite a bit about the relationships that we have with other brokerages that help us reposition our trucks. And quite frankly, we've moved on from a few of them because of that. So,
dude, it's I feel you, man. I feel you. We got to get caught up in some comments here. And Matt Knotts, what's up, brother? Let's fucking go. You are right. Good morning, Nathan Doherty. Stephen Peterson, good morning. Whitney Fowler, good morning. Leticia, good day to you as well. Bob, good morning. Cody, what's up, brother? Sonny Sharma, good morning. And Whitney, I may have just lost a client today that I worked so hard to get due to a carrier screwing me over, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's so frustrating. And but at the end of the day, I'm not going to, like, without knowing what Whitney's going through right there. I mean, Chris, you can speak on this just as well as I can. It is extremely fucking frustrating in the moment, but it's also the realities of what we're up against in this industry every single day. Like that, like what Whitney's describing right there happens countless times. But again, it's like, I always got to challenge myself in those moments. What could I do differently?
Agreed. And it's a tough punch to take, and it's gut wrenching. Guys like us who have been doing this a long time, I've lost countless clients, right? But I also think there's something to be said for, what do you do in that moment, right?
Yeah.
Do you just come clean and say, hey, we didn't vet our carrier well enough? I don't think that this one instance is a direct indication of the level of service that I provide, and all I'm asking for is another opportunity. I bet you if Whitney has that conversation, something along those lines, she might get another opportunity.
Yeah, and it is just that ownership, because I think, like, at the end of, I think a fatal error that a lot of brokers do is like, oh, it's the driver's fault. This is no, it's my fault. All right, I'm the sales rep. I'm the intermediary. That customer's paying me. It's nobody's fault but mine. All right, and it's always, what could I do differently? And I think if you just own it up and be like, hey, you know what? We dropped the ball here, you guys. We fucked up. All right, it won't happen again. I can promise you that. This is what we learned from it. To your thing, like your vetting thing. We should have vetted it a little bit deeper. We let this one slip. That's on us. I think, like, it'll help you sleep better at night. And Whitney, if memory serves me right, you said you were younger in the industry. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, again, I think, like, these are one of those vital moments that you can set yourself apart in the market from most brokers and just own it. Just own it for what it is, and that you are taking accountability for it with your customer, and go with that. Like Tony Darnell just says here, this happens to shippers all the time. And that's exactly it. Is I think if you go to your shipper in that moment and just own it and be like, as a broker, hey, this is on us. We dropped the ball. This is what we learned. This is what we're going to do differently moving forward. It'll help you sleep better at night, A, but B, if it doesn't help you out with this client in the future, putting that karma out there, like, I'm a big believer in doing right. And if you just own it up, it'll come back to you sooner or later.
That's great advice, Chris.
All right, let's break down some articles. Diesel's at 490, you guys. I don't need to fucking bring that up. The perpetual slap in the face, and our elected official celebrating the largest drop in history, but it was the largest rise in history as well. So it's kind of hard to fucking celebrate that when it's still $1.60 a gallon higher year over year. Also, let me see here. What else? Yeah, day 99 out there. Now, Whitney, but all right, before we get in here, super young in the industry. I love the advice. It's 100% on me. And Whitney, it's part of it. All right. To Chris's point, and to my, like, I fucking have dealt with that numerous times. I've lost customers more times than not by lying to them about the realities of what was going on, as opposed to just ripping the Band-Aid off and then just owning it and moving on with your life. It'll help you more long-term. Yeah, dude. First article, ttnews.com. TRB to study ways to communicate value of freight. Limited ways to improve public dialogue about the importance of freight amid rising volumes is spurring a new study on ways to communicate with stakeholder communities. The Transportation Research Board will be paying $350,000 in a 30-month contract for Jesus fuck, dude. You can pay me and Chris. We'll split that 50-50.
I read that. I was like, that seems a bit steep.
Yeah, right. Jesus, dude. And urbanization and changing technologies drive the growing freight volumes and disruption of the transportation systems, and imperative for freight officials to effectively communicate the importance of freight to stakeholders and the general public. And they opened up the project on August 3rd for interesting parties. Yeah, dude, we got to get in there and fucking throw our names in the ring. It goes on to say, according to the TRB, numerous officials from planning, transportation, and government sectors, as well as general public, fail to fully comprehend the value of freight and its connection to land use and other transportation. At the same time, many officials and members of the public lack an understanding about how to best address the impacts of the freight systems, despite the importance of local communities and the national economy. I'm like shocked that like this is an actual thing, that people don't understand the importance of our industry. Like, because that was my big takeaway from this, is we're going to spend $350,000 to let our elected officials know. That just shows the ignorance that's out there about what everybody does in this industry on the day-to-day. Like, again, people just expect shit to show up at their house. They don't think about everything that goes in and the intricacies of this.
Yeah. And I think COVID really kind of started the conversation of how important our industry is. You know, when people couldn't buy diapers and wipes and toilet paper and bottled water for weeks at a time, especially in bigger metropolitan areas. But this is an interesting article. It is rather interesting. It should shed a little bit of light on how important our industry is.
Yeah.
But still, I can't wrap my head around that $350,000 mark. That seems pretty crazy. We should put our name in the hat for that one, man.
Dude, we should. And we should be like, dude, we'll do it for $100,000. All right. We'll fucking go to Capitol Hill and we will tell you everything you need to know about this fucking industry and why it's important.
Just tap it.
Dude, could you imagine me walking in with the orange polo and the backwards hat on and be like, all right, motherfuckers, I'm going to fuck you up with some truth here.
Oh, dude, I love it.
That would be awesome. But yeah, dude, again, it's like, to me, a lot of the stuff that they're talking about in this article is like, you would think, and maybe it's us looking at it from the fact that we've worked in this industry for so long, and you're like, how do you not know any of this stuff about it being important to the overall flow of our economy and everything else? It's kind of like, I don't know, man. I go back and forth. I'm like, are we that stupid, or am I just like so ingrained in the industry I have a hard time? I don't have that outsider's perspective anymore.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of both, to be honest with you. It just becomes mundane for us at this point. I'm like teaching my 4-year-old daughter what an RGN is rolling down the highway on her first day of school yesterday. So
exactly. I caught myself when my son was a little bit younger. I like me growing up in like a small town, dude. I am kind of like, and butchering animals myself growing up because we had a game farm. We had chickens and geese and everything. So like I've been butchering birds since I was a kid. And I remember the first time he asked about hamburger, and I was explaining to him like, oh, buddy, they get it from the farm. They package it up. They deliver it on a refrigerated trailer. And this is what happens. He's like, well, how do they make it a hamburger? I'm like, well, buddy, they shoot the cow in the back of the head. And he just fucking, his jaw dropped and he started bawling in the middle of the store. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I know. Things you learn as a young parent. That article, you guys, from ttnews.com. Check it out. It was an interesting one. This is the one I really wanted to talk to you about. It was from FreightWaves, and it's about the FMCSA takes on a request to allow hair tests into the drug clearinghouse. And I actually just had, this episode will be coming out in my podcast in a couple of weeks, but I had a lady come on about compliance and the clearinghouse and everything else. And dude, to my own ignorance, I had no idea what this actually was. As a whole, I didn't know what they were really looking to do with this. So like for the people out there, man, the clearinghouse, what does that mean to you as a fleet owner?
Well, it's safety and security, priority number one, right? We operate with the mentality that safety's first. And I like Clearinghouse because it's going to tell you right away whether or not somebody is capable and lawfully able to drive your truck. I mean, we're dealing with 80,000 pound bullets, man. That's that's what they are, right? I mean, a fully loaded truck, it's an 80,000 pound rocket. A lot of things can go wrong. And Clearinghouse, they've made some changes, and it's helped me identify people that I should not have behind the wheel. And it's also, validated my decision in hiring people that are qualified to be behind the wheel. But yeah, this is going to shake some stuff up for sure.
Yeah, dude. Cause like I was talking to this lady, and she was like, she uses an example of a driver who had got an offense 5 years ago and it was never reported. And this driver had worked for multiple companies and everything out there. And it's like, could you imagine? But again, though, like, I think to me, it's how does that many people let that slip between the cracks, and how are they not held responsible? Because again, that is an 80,000 pound speeding bullet going down the freeway. And with drug testing and everything else, and like there's some people out there, like I didn't know about this, like you could go and show up, and then like you can somehow get out of it, but you can still drive and everything else. Like there's loopholes to a lot of this shit when it comes to the drug testing. And it's like, I think that is one thing that we can't fucking skimp on. Like that, like our drug testing, impairment and everything, dude, that's got to be at the forefront of this.
Safety's got to be number one. I don't let anybody pick up my equipment unless I get those results back from New Era, who I use. There's no reason that you shouldn't even start training until you get those results back. You should not be allowed behind the wheel, period. To go back to your point that you made about the driver having an offense and still getting hired, are we not calling previous employers for reference checks? Like, what are we doing here?
Dude, and that's exactly it, man. Because again, it's, to me, it's like, in the article, what was it? They have knowledge of hundreds of thousands of positive drug tests that they're not able to share under the current systems, and those drivers are all out there on the road right now. This exemption would give motor carriers making inquiries into the clearinghouse the opportunity to have full knowledge of habitual drug users during the hiring process. And again, I'm like, dude, I'm not like a Big Brother fan or anything like that, but when it comes to the safety of the motoring public and everything else, and that line right there is what stuck out to me, is there's hundreds of thousands of positive drug tests out there and they're not able to share it. And those are potentially drivers out on the road right now. We don't need habitual offenders out of, like, we all get it. We've all fucked up, one time. And, I believe in second chances, but to me, it's the habitual offenders that need to be off the fucking road. Like if you're caught under impairment more than twice, I think you shouldn't be driving a fucking semi.
You shouldn't be anywhere near a semi. Period.
Correct.
No way.
It's wild to me. And let me see here. It goes on because it's the policy change at the FMCSA that the FMCSA lacks the statutory authority to grant the Trucking Alliance request for exemption. Talking about that, and it goes on to say that their experience in the past was that the FMCSA would sometimes respond to exemption requests, explaining why it had been denied and not released for public comment, like in the case where they didn't have statutory authority to grant the request. Said P. Sean Garney. I don't understand anyways, that's just my brain just went off topic there. Co-director at Scopolyptus Transportation Consulting. But putting these requests out in public square where it can be discussed and debated generates important conversations in the industry. And while many of these exemptions may never be granted, they may seed conversations that could lead to good public policy at the end of the day. I think, again, man, there should be more than just like a urine test out there, I think, because again, it's like, as we all know, today's day and age, man, you can fucking botch a piss, you can get something to conceal your urine test and everything else. But I think it also brings up a good point though, about the fact that, is this going to be one thing why marijuana will never be legalized federally, do you think? Because again, like you see it on a state by state basis, like out in Nevada, for example, where we both lived for a while there, dude. I mean, it's legal out there. So it's like, is that technically a thing? And like, I think there's a lot of fucking fine print that needs to be rolled out when it comes down to it.
Yeah. You made a really good point about how do we enforce it federally. I mean, for one, I kind of dodged a bullet with one of my drivers. I just had a hunch. The driver unplugged my GPS, drove my truck like 500 miles. Thank God we got it back. It's nothing to be proud of, but I learned a lot in that situation. You know, and I did the right thing and I reported him to the proper authorities, and hopefully he never is allowed to drive a vehicle again. But safety's got to be at the forefront of this industry, bar none, non-negotiable. Also, at the same time, you know, from the brokerage standpoint, we encourage that too. Like, I'm not asking people to speed and drive through snowstorms to get the delivered. I tell my people, all my people, like, this is the reality. It's just freight. We're going to get it delivered safely and when we can.
That's exactly it, man. Because again, dude, and no truckload's worth a human life at all. No. You know, and especially Lewis down here at Dedicated Trucking, you know, it only takes one accident to cause death. And that's the thing, man, is it's never worth it. And I think that, you know, me personally, when it comes down to having the clearinghouse and having hair follicle testing and everything in it, I also think of it like this, man, like that's the issues that I see, is the fact that there is marijuana that's legal at a state level, and, you know, the federal governing body and everything else. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how this rolls out. I want to see a kind of a one-stop shop, because again, I want those habitual offenders off the road. I don't want any of those individuals, especially if it's not me driving down the freeway with my wife and my kid. I don't want that shit fucking rolling next to me. And dude, and I've seen that too, man. Like, driving out on I-80 between Fernley and Reno, dude, there's one guy that fucking, dude, I actually called the fucking NHP on him because this guy blew past me going 90. He's fucking all over the road, bro. All over the road. It wasn't like he was speeding in one lane, man. You could tell he was impaired as fuck. And that's the thing. Yeah, that's what's scary as shit.
That's what's scary. You said something earlier about there's loopholes. Like, I've had, you know, 3-4 dozen drivers come through, and we've had to send them in for testing, and never once has that happened to me. But I think you hit on it. The habitual offenders, those are probably the folks that figured out the loophole, which is disgusting. There should be no loophole in safety, especially when it comes to the general public. Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. But again, like that's the problem with a lot of this shit is there are loopholes. And it's like, if you can go out there and fake a piss test, or, oh, hey, I'm going to go do this. Oh, wait, they can't get me in for a couple weeks, I can start driving for you right now. And again, it's like a lot of this information, though, is a young fleet owner and everything else. Like, this is why it needs to be put out there. Like, this is why I talk to people who work in compliance and everything else and put that information out there. Because again, you only know what you know, man. And what some people, when they get into business, and again, there's no playbook for this stuff. And that's what we're trying to create, is a playbook for people to at least use as a resource. But you can't have that, because it's like, if that's your driver who even somehow gets a violation of some sort, man, you could be out of business before you even fucking cash your first check.
Yeah, 100%. It only takes one instance, man. I like this article a lot.
I did too. I thought it was one of the best ones that I've read recently, because it went down. It was a pretty solid, I don't even call it a rabbit hole, but there was a ton of good information in there. Again, you guys hit it up, freightwaves.com. FMCSA takes on requests to allow hair testing to drug clearinghouse. And as always, you guys have put the links to these articles out there on the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach podcast platform for the audio only replay of this. And again, you guys do your due diligence, read these articles, and also subscribe while you're there as well, if you could. Let me see here. Zach Williams, what's up, brother? As you build your employee screening programs, you also have to hit it with a couple of house mental health and addiction support. Yeah, man, I think that's also a flip side to it as well. It's like, hey, how do you support that person in the event that they are, you know, a habitual offender? Zero tolerance, absolutely. But when you pull them off the road, you better at least try to point them in the right direction. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm right there with you, man. Zach, I think that's a great point. Overall, is it's like, we can't just like, oh, fuck that person. I think it has to be hey, what can we do to help you out here as a person? Last article is from the Wall Street Journal, and retailers scramble to stow inventories are turning to transportation equipment. Companies flush with inventories and straining for warehouse space are increasingly turning to an ad hoc arrangement that includes storing goods in parking lots, on tractor trailers, as they cope with the ongoing disconnect. It's scalable and it's mobile and it's accessible, said Chuck Kanata, Senior Vice President and GM of Milestone Equipment Holdings, LLC. And you can move it to a retail distribution center or store it without having to move much inventory 2 or 3 times. Dude, what are you thinking about this, man?
This is a good one too, because we just had a meeting about the future of how we might direct our 3PL business. But I've got clients that ask me to rent trailers every month. I just had a client ask me if he can rent 6 trailers in Portland and 6 trailers in Phoenix, like long term, just so that they can put product in it when it comes off the line.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talk about drivers not having, facilities and places to rest or use the restroom. I think the same thing kind of goes with these large scale shippers and manufacturers. They don't have enough space, period.
Yeah.
They can't there's not enough space to keep their product on the floor. And that's why you see a lot of JIT freight.
Yeah.
And spot rates are just all over the place, because the second it comes off the line, there's nowhere to put it. They've got to put it in a truck, and they're paying what the market's going for that day.
Let me see. Shipping experts say that the practice of keeping goods on transport equipment adds to broader strains in the already stressed supply chain, because it ties up shipping containers, truck trailers, and truck frames needed to keep goods moving. Gotta love it when I don't know this person's job experience, but they're a professor of supply chain management with a very solid point. When a trailer is being used for storage, it can't be used for transporting other goods. Fucking solid line right there. No shit. Dude, I just think that, again, though, like, here's what a lot of this I see, you guys, is, again, and I was talking about this yesterday with my friend Haley Evans of Triumph Pay, is freight volumes are still up, even though they're down from where they were. And again, it's kind of like the correlation between the diesel prices, bro. Like, there was a fucking historic rise in freight prices, and it dropped, yes. But it's still, when overall freight volumes, I'm not talking about specific rate per mile here, freight volume as a whole is still up. But this is I think we're going into a normal freight market season, quote unquote, but it's still at elevated levels. And when you read articles like this, that companies are looking for storage space or looking for additional warehouse and everything else, to me, and again, I went to public school, that means there will still be more freight to move here. All right. It's not falling off a cliff. It's not all doom and gloom. And to me, man, I'm shocked that people, it's almost like they're celebrating. Some people are celebrating that spot rates are dropping still. It's almost like there's like, that's all they're fucking hanging on to, is that spot rates are falling. And it's just like, good God, like, again, cool. The house is on fire. What are you going to do about it?
You remain cool and,
Yeah.
and you grind through it. I mean, we're not seeing a slowdown over here, to be honest with you. We're just plugging along, but I got a bunch of sharks in my organization that I'm not worried about them. But I think you're right, though. You think you hit the nail on the head. People are celebrating the fact that spot rates are falling out, but lo and behold, folks, what's going to happen here in 6 weeks? Retail peak season's coming, and I think the market's going to get back to normal. I don't know that we'll see the insane, $15,000-$20,000 line haul rate from LA to New Jersey this year. But I still think it's going to be a little bit more normal versus what we've been seeing the last, 4 to 6 months.
Yeah. And again, I think that now more than ever it's just a massive opportunity out there, you guys. No matter where you are with your current customers or your current book of business, there's a massive opportunity that's coming, because the volatility, what happens when rates start to increase is the volatility, and it's fucking very real, and people really start dropping the ball, you guys, especially during peak holiday season, when all those large providers out there start fucking over the small to mid-sized shippers, because their higher paying volume customers are all of a sudden needing their capacity. So again, I don't know about you, but grease that fucking elbow up and massage those fingers, because it's dialing season right now. I would be all over that shit.
Oh yeah, we're in go mode. But you're right. I mean, you've done it. I've done it. We've been through countless peak seasons. One piece of advice I would give is answer the phone. Like,
start there. Yeah.
when your phone rings in October, November, and December, it's generally $1 that's coming along with it.
Yeah. And this is for Julia. I'm going to direct this at Julia Oleskoga. I hope I pronounced your last name properly. But yeah, Julia, if you're new to the industry and excited, it's fucking be a absolute savage these next couple of months. Cough 3PL, SPI 3PL. That's right, you guys. SPI 3PL. Hit them up if you want to be a freight agent. But yeah, you guys, like, this is fucking go time right now. All right. Don't pay attention to the fucking people who are sitting on the sidelines trying to tell you what is happening out there. Chris has fucking skin in the game. I have skin in the game. I'm working with multiple clients right now. I see what's fucking happening out there, you guys. And yeah, it's uncertain, but it's been uncertain for every fucking year that I've been in here. But control what you can control. And right now, it's your effort. Control your effort, because people are fucking on the sidelines when it starts getting easy. They're going to sit back and be like, oh, it's easy to post a load. Yeah, well, guess what? People are going to fucking fall off left and right when the market starts to stabilize, and it's going to happen. Just be fucking ready. Todd Waldron's right. It's go time.
It is go time.
How does anybody find out about River City, man? Are you guys hiring and everything right now?
We're always hiring, man. Good talent is everywhere. And I think we do a really good job of finding it, bringing them in-house, training these folks up, giving them an incredible working environment. I don't know that there's many places in our industry that offer an environment like ours. It's really, truly unique. We've got a pretty heavy presence on LinkedIn. You can find me, Chris Brewer, or River City Logistics, Inc. LinkedIn, you can go to rclogistics.com. Plenty of job openings. We just moved into a brand new facility in beautiful downtown Dubuque, Iowa.
We did.
We need about 24 people to come in here and keep this train going. So as always, man, it's been fun. It's been real. And I appreciate you having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. He'll be back. Don't worry, guys. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow, episode 100. It's fucking wild to say that, but here we are, you guys. We're just bringing truth every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. Just do me a solid. If you saw value in this, share the show. That's all I can ask you guys. Share the show, because if you see value in it, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys all so much, and we'll be